Okay, so today I'm going to take a look at the old Lion King games from 1994, and I'll be starting with the remastered version on the Super Nintendo for the Switch. So I have to say, this is actually rather difficult for a game based on a kids movie. In fact, Disney apparently instructed the game development company to make it harder so that it could not be completed within a single rental period. But the more obscure version of this game is the NES one. In fact, it's so obscure that they didn't even put it in the re-release, even though there are 5 other versions of the game available, including a Sega version, 2 Game Boy versions, and 2 Super Nintendo versions, one being in Japanese. So if you want to play it today, it has to be on a real NES. And that means we're going to have to visit the Sacred Loft. Okay, so now that we have the NES hooked up, let's take a look. So right off the bat, you can tell this is very watered down compared to the Super Nintendo one. And by watered down, I do mean. From the looks of it, this is basically the same version as the Game Boy Color game. Well, almost. I would argue that this version is actually worse though. For one thing, the background graphics use this checkerboard pattern, which I find very jarring. Also, it's far more cropped than it is on the NES. I get why they did that because it's on a Game Boy screen, but then you get problems like this, and can't react in time. To be honest, there's actually a lot to nitpick with these two games. Like you can't jump through trees, there's a split-second lag on the jump, which means I keep falling off ledges, and the control in general is just unmanageable, especially in the Game Boy version. For example, when it comes to swinging on the rhino tails, I just can't get a grip on them. I was able to rewind so that I can keep trying, but I still can't do it. Like right here, I clearly touched the tail, and yet I still miss. However, in the NES version, as long as you get near enough, you'll automatically latch onto it. But, I hear you saying, go easy on them. They're 8-bit games. They're going to have those limitations. And yes, you'd be right. But there is also an unlicensed version on NES. And it's better. The graphics are better, the control is better, hell, even the music is better. It seems what happened here is that the company Super Game simply made a demake of the SNES version and put it on the NES. But if it was that easy, why didn't Nintendo do it? Now, while I don't love the original NES game, it was disappointing to find it was not included in the remastered collection. Despite its flaws, I think it's necessary to preserve the game's history, and hopefully, we will see an updated collection one day in the future.